The wind howled across the Wyoming plains, fierce and unrelenting, turning the sky into a swirling sea of gold and brown dust. Inside the rocking stagecoach, Sarah Mitchell clutched her sister's hand, her heart pounding as the wheels rattled over the rough trail. They had left behind the only home they had ever known in Boston, trading polished streets and gentle manners for an unknown inheritance on the edge of the frontier. Beside her, Emma, her identical twin, stared through the dirt-smeared window, her blue eyes wide with worry. "Do you think it's real, Sarah?" she asked softly. "A ranch? All that land?" Sarah tried to sound confident, but her voice trembled. "It has to be. It's all we have left." 3 days ago, a lawyer's telegram had arrived with shocking news. Their uncle, Thomas Mitchell, had passed away, leaving his entire ranch to them. But if they didn't claim it within 30 days, it would be sold to settle debts. They had no family left, no money, and nowhere else to go. So here they were, two city-raised girls heading into a land ruled by dust, danger, and men with guns. The coach jolted violently and came to a sudden stop. The driver's shout was nearly lost in the storm. The door flew open, and wind filled the coach like a living thing. A tall figure appeared in the doorway, broad-shouldered, his outline huge against the red sky. "Ladies," he said, his voice deep and calm despite the chaos around them. "This is as far as the driver's going." "Storm's too bad to keep on. You looking for the Mitchell place?" Sarah blinked through the dust. "Yes, we are. I'm Sarah Mitchell, and this is my sister, Emma. We've come to claim our uncle's ranch." The man studied them for a long moment. Even with the wind tearing at his coat and hat, he seemed steady as the mountains behind him. Finally, he nodded. "Name's Colt Brennan. I've been running the ranch since your uncle fell ill. Nobody told me he had nieces back east." He stepped aside and held out a gloved hand. "Come on, let's get you out of this storm." They climbed down, skirts whipping around their legs, eyes stinging from the wind. Colt grabbed their trunks with one hand each, as if they weighed nothing, and led the way toward the shadow of a large house barely visible through the swirling dust. The driver, eager to be gone, shouted a quick goodbye and turned the coach around, vanishing into the storm. By the time they reached the porch, Sarah could barely see. Colt shoved the heavy door open, and the three stumbled inside. The sudden quiet was almost shocking. The only sound was their heavy breathing and the muffled roar of the storm outside. Colt turned, removing his hat. Sarah's breath caught. He was younger than she expected, perhaps 30, with sun-browned skin, wheat-colored hair, and eyes the color of frozen lakes. His presence filled the room, quiet but commanding. "You're twins," he said simply, his voice thoughtful. Didn't expect that Emma stepped forward cautiously. "You knew our uncle well." Colt nodded once. "He was a good man. Tough as they come. This ranch meant everything to him." Sarah lifted her chin. "Then we'll do our best to honor him and keep it running." A small smile touched his lips. Not mocking, just tired. "You know anything about cattle, Miss Mitchell?" "No," she admitted, "but we can learn." He studied her for another long moment. Those ice-blue eyes, unreadable. "Learning takes time," he said, "and time's something you may not have. There are men around here who'd love to take this land from you. The only thing that's stopped them so far is me." Quote, Sarah felt a chill that had nothing to do with the wind. "What do you mean? Your uncle's land is valuable. Water, grazing routes, rail access. Men like Marcus Dalton have been waiting for a chance to grab it. If word spreads that 2 young women from Boston own the place now, they'll come knocking, some with offers. Some with guns." Emma's hand tightened around Sarah's. "Then we'll need protection." Colt's jaw tightened. "That's right. And until we figure out who's loyal around here, you don't leave the house after dark." "Understand?" Sarah bristled. "We didn't come here to hide, Mr. Brennan." His gaze met hers. Steady, piercing. "Maybe not, but I intend to make sure you stay alive long enough to decide what kind of life you want." He turned and gestured toward the stairs. "Rooms are ready upstairs. Get some rest." We'll talk more in the morning." As his boots echoed away, Sarah stood in the stillness of the hall, her pulse still racing. Something about Colt Brennan unsettled her. Not just his size or his authority, but the quiet intensity behind every word he spoke. It wasn't fear she felt. It was something else, something she didn't quite have the courage to name. Later, as the storm raged outside, Sarah lay awake in her narrow bed. She could hear the faint creak of floorboards below, Colt moving through the house, checking windows, standing guard. She imagined him out there, his tall frame outlined against the glow of the lantern, watching the darkness beyond the glass for threats she couldn't see. Part of her wanted to feel safe knowing he was there. Another part wondered what secrets hid behind those cold blue eyes, and whether her uncle's most trusted man could truly be trusted at all. Outside, thunder rolled across the plains. Inside, the twins lay awake, hearts uneasy in a house that no longer felt entirely theirs. And downstairs, the giant cowboy kept watch, silent, waiting, and very much aware that danger was coming for all of them. The storm had passed by morning, leaving the world shining and new. From the porch, Sarah looked out over miles of open prairie, where sunlight spilled across the hills like molten gold. For the first time since their father's death, she felt something close to wonder. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Behind her, Colt Brennan stood with his coffee mug, tall and silent. "It can be," he said, "but don't let it fool you. This land doesn't forgive mistakes." Sarah turned toward him. "You make it sound like the land's alive." Colt's lips twitched. "Almost a smile out here. It might as well be Emma joined them, her hair still messy from sleep. So this is ours now," she said softly. "All of it." "For now," Colt said, "as long as you're willing to fight for it." The words hung heavy between them. Sarah met his eyes. "You think someone's going to try to take it?" "I don't think," Colt replied. "I know." He set his cup down and pointed toward the north ridge, where 3 dark figures on horseback were moving toward them. "And there's your first visitor." The riders approached with confident ease, their horses kicking up little puffs of dust. The man in front was older, with silver at his temples and a sharp, calculating smile. His coat was fine, too fine for a rancher. His eyes, though, were cold as steel. "Marcus Dalton," Colt said under his breath. Dalton dismounted smoothly and tipped his hat. "Miss Mitchell's," he greeted, his voice smooth and polite. "Allow me to offer my condolences on your uncle's passing." Sarah forced a polite smile. "Thank you, Mr. Dalton." Quote. Dalton's gaze swept over them both, and Sarah felt the chill of it. "I hear you've come to claim the Mitchell Ranch." "A bold move, considering the state it's in." "We'll manage," Emma said, lifting her chin. Dalton's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You'll find it's a hard life out here for people without experience. I could save you a lot of trouble. I'll make a generous offer for the land. Enough to set you both up comfortably back." East Colt stepped forward, his voice low but firm. "They're not selling." Dalton's gaze flicked to him, amused. "Still playing guard dog, Brennan? Thought you'd have moved on by now." "Still here," Colt said, his tone calm. Still keeping watch, Dalton studied him for a moment, then turned back to Sarah. "Think carefully, Miss Mitchell. The frontier can be cruel to those who underestimate it." Sarah met his stare head-on. "We'll take our chances." For a heartbeat, the air seemed to freeze. Then Dalton laughed softly and swung into his saddle. "Suit yourselves. But don't say I didn't warn you." He tipped his hat again and rode off with his men, leaving a trail of dust behind. The silence that followed felt heavy. Emma exhaled shakily. "He didn't sound like a man who takes no for an answer." "He's not," Colt said. "That's why, from now on, you don't go anywhere without someone you trust." Sarah looked up at him. "You mean you?" His eyes softened, just slightly. "If you'll have me." That afternoon, Colt gathered the ranch hands in the bunkhouse. Sarah and Emma stood beside him as he addressed